Hey guys, welcome to a special J&J Monday. Not even on a Sunday. It's just actually a Saturday afternoon I'm doing this. And the reason why, because I'm pre-recording this. We are not doing a live show this week due to the fact I got a lot of stuff to do at home. So I'm going to be posting this on a later date, which is pretty much Sunday morning. You'll probably see this. Joshkin also has some stuff she has to take care of. She's also getting over a cold, which caused her to lose her voice for a while. She is getting better, but we both felt it was necessary not to do a live show. However, I also felt the need to do something because I really don't want to have large gaps between shows. I don't want to miss 2 weeks of no episode. I like to keep it consistent. We have been doing a tremendously good job of having an episode each week, and so I decided, you know what, when we don't have an episode, do be recording and post it from there. So it will be a J&J, but it's something a little bit different, especially if we don't have a guest star and everybody's busy. It will just be me talking to the camera, talking about some various issues and topics that's going on. The only thing different here is that 99.9% of the time we're not going to do any video of the week or post any top 10 box office results. I'll still leave that for the live shows that are coming on. I guess you're wondering where I'm at. I'm actually outside. This is the first outside vlog or something that even was done in J&J ever. The last time I've done an outside video like this was 4 years ago when I was just getting started on YouTube, just getting a feel when YouTube was just 14 minutes long for me and pretty much everybody else who wasn't a partner. And so here I'm out here again, enjoying this nice weather. It's hot but very comfortable, and I decided, why not? There's no reason for me to not do it. I'm not rushing home. It's a beautiful day. I had a good day at work with my new job and all. And I decided, you know what? This is the best time to actually sit down, relax, enjoy the view in a place that I haven't been in a long, long time. I'm at Prospect Park in good old Brooklyn, New York. I'm going to turn the camera here. It's very, very lively. Beautiful scenery here. You see a lot of stuff here. I wish I can show you more, but I'm in the middle part of the park. So it's not really, I'm not in the middle, but a lot of people are out here barbecuing, just enjoying themselves, just relaxing, just giving them a good book. And just me, I thought I deserved some relaxation, especially with all the hectic stuff that's been going on with me in my personal life. I just felt it was necessary, which gave me the idea to do for this episode because we're approaching what my old job of 2 years like to call the tourist season. So I want to give some advice for those in Matic Expression or those just in general watching this on Matic Expression and on my YouTube channel, Marathon Publishing, if they plan to go out to look for things and to avoid certain gimmicks and schemes that a lot of people will do. So I hope to give you guys advice on that. I've been working as a tour agent for 2 years, ticket agent selling the tour buses. So the tips I can give you can be very helpful in you guys having a safe, even affordable trip while you're in the Big Apple. Also, we're talking about some of my new experiences I'm going through with my job, and some health issues that I want to share, especially those who is dealing with the same issues that I have since I was a kid, and it was only about 5 years ago since I realized what the prognosis was, but still is a very scary notion. And after my change in schedule, it has came back in multiple stages. It hasn't happened to me today. But it is something I want to share with, and hopefully to give and also get advice from your audience as well. Warcraft has came back. Yeah, I'm going to be reviewing that. If it stays in theaters, for what I understand, it's not doing well in the U.S., but it's actually been dominant in Japan and overseas. So Japan and China actually like Warcraft, but it's not been doing well here. Hopefully that will change. And from what I understand, domestically, in terms of all the box office, it looks like they're going to do well regardless of how it does in the U.S. box office. But I'm still kind of curious how that's going to work. I know the reviews are not great and everything, but you can't be too surprised with games based on video games these days. I'm hoping it does well. I'm hoping to not be disappointed. I'm hoping that this film does its wonders. I'm hoping they can actually break the video game slump of good games make bad movies. But I seen the trailer from the theaters and I was like, okay, it has something there, but it's something not amazing because the story we've seen it dozens of times. So hopefully they will shock me when I see the film. Um, so let's get this show on the road. Yeah, I started a new job about 2 weeks ago. And so far, so good. I have worked it. This is my first full week. I had to. It was a holiday, so I couldn't work the Monday. But I was actually working on in the factory business, keeping it secret because I don't want to expose where I work at for security and safety reasons, of course. But needless to say, I work in the factory assembly line, and the assembly line I worked in, I'm kind of surprised still exists because of machineries. But I'm actually glad it done because it actually gives me full-time work. That was one of the reasons why I switched. That and the fact is I had started to develop serious back pains where I started to get inflammation in my lower back, which actually kept me out of action. So when that happened, and the fact that the job was cutting back on hours, which is something in New York you just cannot have. You need to make a living. You need to be on point in terms of rent, and rent is very expensive here. Like I said a few weeks ago, it makes up for 63% of people's incomes, some even more. Just working part time, less than 40 hours, it's just not going to cut it, especially in today's economy. In case you're wondering why I'm looking up, if someone's playing catchball in front of me, so I got to keep me mindful of where that ball is. So please excuse that. But like I said, I'm in the public park, so that's comes with the territory. Uh, so that when the fact is that I got that injury back, and I said, you know what, I can't afford to have a permanent injury where I can't work. I can't afford to not be active. And believe me, those couple of days when I was in pain, I was not active, and I decided, you know what, it's time for me to look for something different. And so I went to an agency. They hooked me up with something that is reasonable, and so far so good. It's hard work, trust me. You got to be very fast because this is a assembly line, and they do work fast. And I give props to those ladies. Those ladies really know how to work the machines, really know how to work with their hands. Hopefully, I can get it gives me a new appreciation to what these factory workers do. And if you've seen I Love Lucy, you pretty much get the hint that it is very. You have to be on your toes. You have to be alert. The only setback is it's like counting sheep when you're doing the same thing over and over again. And those who work in factories, you know exactly what I'm talking about. After a while, you doze off. After a while, you get zoned out, and you literally have to train yourself, pretty much fight yourself not to do that. There was times when I got caught out there, and everybody said that happens with everybody. But I realized the reason why is I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again, to the point where it becomes exhausting and repetitive. So that's the only downside to it. Really, the only downside. But other than that, I'm really am fascinated behind the scenes of what's going on. I'm really am fascinated how everything's put together, and how things actually work. It's kind of amazing. I worked in a warehouse for a few years. Now I'm working in a factory now, but I was very intrigued by it, and I'm enjoying it. I'm hoping to learn more on the way. So that's how that works. The downside, which leads me to my condition, which is something I haven't shared with the expressionists and people on YouTube. The downside is I'm trying to adjust my sleeping pattern. My sleeping pattern has been put a little bit out of whack. That's because I'm, going to work at daytime, and so my body has to be retrained to sleep at night. As a result of this, my sleeping pattern has been pretty much whack. I'm up, the next thing I'm drowsy, and it got to the point where my sleep paralysis has returned. Now, I know a lot of people is wondering, what the hell is the sleep paralysis? Well, it's a kind of condition where you've fallen asleep or you're about to go to sleep and you're up, but your body's not. A perfect example is that, and the best way I can explain it to you guys is, Your body goes through stages of sleep. It does not go to one stage. There's the stage where I think your body temperature drops a little bit, and there's also another stage where you go to sleep but not deep sleep, and then you go to that deeper sleep to the point where your body shuts down. It completely shuts down, and the reason why it does that is it prevents the body to reenact what you're dreaming. Some people have very strong dreams, and those dreams can be considered very dangerous, and to the point where you can actually hurt yourself or hurt somebody else that's actually sleeping right next to you. So your body shuts down completely. Um, Sometimes that doesn't work with me, and with a point where I'm actually trying to get sleep, but it just immediately my body just shuts down before I'm actually asleep. And let me tell you something, it's very, very scary. Um, According to a lot of doctors I talked to over the years about this, it's not life threatening, but try telling it to me when I can barely breathe. And the fact is that I'm actually can't move. I can hear everything around me, but I can't move. I can't speak. I can't yell for help. I'm just basically, I'm basically paralyzed. It's a kind of paralyzation that you don't want, because you're literally helpless at that point. And this happened not last week, but this week. It's happened on three different occasions for on 3 straight days where I was about to head to the office because I take the van. We take the company van to the job site, and I basically, I'm, drowsy. I'm tired. I'm still trying to, knock cobwebs out. And out of nowhere, just while I'm holding my eyes, my whole body shuts down. Where I'm basically, I can feel my head just, ugh, and that's it. And I can't move. Twice I was able to snap out of it before we went to the job site, but I informed my friend. I said, "Listen, if we reach the job site and you see me sleep, just shake me. That will because I told myself from sleep paralysis that it has happened where we're right at the door, and I just basically my whole body is shut down. I'm trying to move and I'm trying to snap it out of it. It's nothing really working. The guy realized what was going on. He shook me and I went back to normal. But he said I should check this out. I said I know what it is. It's basically my body's out of whack because it's been a while since I had that kind of spell. It's been a while since the sleep paralysis have actually taken its toll on me. And yeah, this is something that has hit me when I was a child. I was like 6, 7 years old when I first had these sleep paralysis, and it was scary then. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what was going on. But I can tell you, that as a child, it frightened me to no ends to the point where I was afraid to even close my eyes because I didn't know what was going on. It really, really feels like someone is pinning you to the bed. You can't move, and you hear things you should not be able to hear. A lot of the doctors have said that it's pretty much you're hearing hallucinations because your brain it's hard to explain, but it's saying it's something to do with the brain and the fact that it's developing hallucinations. You may hear things that you don't want to hear, creepy things, and I'm like, this is crazy. This is insane. But like I said, the doctor said it's not something, at least in my situation, that could be fatal. But that's something I always question because the way it is, the way my breathing is like you're literally trying to fight fighting an invisible hand is keeping you. And it's not something that's very pretty. That's the best way I can describe it. Nevertheless, it happened 3 straight days. It didn't happen today, thank goodness. I worked at overtime today, and it was fine. I was good. I did doze off, but it wasn't too. But it was basically I had some music on, so I was able to go to and from work without any incident, any spells or somewhat. But they have come back, and that's largely because again, I'm changing my sleeping pattern, and because of that. I'm not getting as much sleep as I'm supposed to, and that's the big problem. It really is the lack of sleep, and I need to really be aware that I need to train myself to make sure I get proper sleep, whatever chance I get, and make sure I eat a proper diet, because it is says it also has to do with food and nourishment as well. So I gotta change a lot of my stuff, and that's pretty much it. But sleeping paralysis is a very scary thing. I have suffered from it for a long time. I went for periods where I had it from time to time. There's some times where I can go for months without having it. So this is the first time it hit me back to back to back. So I knew. And that never happened before. I never had it back to back. I had it once, and it went away for a while, and it came back again. But this was the real first time I had it back to back to back. And I can tell you, when I was very scared, I told my counselor about it. She was the one that told me about sleep paralysis and where to look it up. And I was very amazed. And not only I wasn't alone, because when you first get this feeling, you don't know if it's something to you, if it's something wrong with you, are you going nuts, or anything else. Because as a kid, that's a scary thought. And you dare not want to tell your family, because you know how your family's going to deal with it. Once when I was an adult, I realized there's a lot of people who deals with this. A lot of people who deal with the symptoms. Just recently, I saw a video of a guy who was doing a test because he has sleep apnea, and he agreed to be to run some tests, and they was filming him, and he had gone through the same thing, and it's pretty much what I go through. He's trying to speak, he's trying to talk. You can see him trying to move, and it's like a really much a panicky stage, because you panic. It's a natural response to being, to being completely paralyzed. You're panicking. You can't scream. You can't yell for help. You can't move your fingers. You're trying everything. And it ran for a good minute and 10 seconds before he finally was able to snap out of it. He called the nurse, explained what happened. He actually kept the button and it's on standby, so in case it happened again, if he can able to move with one of his fingers, he can. And that's how he was able to combat that. But his is related probably to a sleep apnea, which is more dangerous for him because sleep apnea can be fatal if not treated properly or not being attended to. So that's not a very good, scary thing, good thing to have. And seeing it for the first time for somebody else going through it, that's even more scary, because you're seeing it and you're saying, this is what I'm doing. My God, this is not something that I wouldn't wish on anyone. Again, they said it's not fatal. They're saying that it's not something that you should be too concerned about it. Most people do deal with it. They don't know how it happens or why it happens. I do know one thing: it happens. It's very common in operating rooms. You'd be surprised. A lot of people, they think they're asleep, but they're actually awake, but they can't move. They're paralyzed while they're about to go under the knife. That's something I do not want to happen. That's why I'm always documenting. I'm letting the doctors know before you even give me anesthesia. Something you need to know. You need to make sure that I'm actually asleep and not, actually conscious. Not physically conscious, but actually, mentally conscious. Because it has been reported that people were conscious while in surgery, and the only reason why they barely got noticed because the doctors noticed some signs of movement or anything else, and some kind of twitching in the eyes or something. But there are others that didn't go through it. So the fact that they're actually aware of what's going on and they can't move, that's something I don't want anyone to ever experience, but it has happened. So I haven't got surgery, thank goodness, yet. Bees flying around me. I hate bees. But that's the thing I'm gonna have to be very mindful, especially within the air. Whoa, this is a big one. I may have to move from this spot because this is flying all over the place. And I do not want to be. That's not even a bee. That's a sting. I think it's something to do with my computer. So I'm going to do the right thing here. I'm going to let him have this space. And just move a little bit further down the side. It's not as hot. I picked this space because, number one, it was the most comfortable. I like to go where there's trees around. And I got to make sure that I keep track of time because it's actually getting dark out. It's almost actually 7:56. So I still got more stuff to do. I'm still recording. I got plenty of time before this computer decided to die down. I'm not going to make this a long video anyway. But that's the thing I'm actually trying to avoid. Is having those repeats. So I'm going to have to change my diet. Basically make sure I get enough sleep. Just be more mindful of my condition, as well as what makes and what's causing it as well. Just be more mindful of what it is, and just deal with that. So there you go. Food. Did I left anything? Nope. Okay. So that's basically what I mean. That's basically one of my health scares, if you want to call it. I don't really call it because, again, I'm more aware of it now than I was years ago. So uh, it does makes it more for me. Hold on a second, because my computer went blank on me. I gotta again. Sorry about that, guys. Check. Can't get in my computer right now. Okay, there we go. My computer sometimes goes on sleep mode for reasons I do not know. So, but that's the thing I gotta be more mindful, more in tune of when I'm dealing with that situation, because I don't want it to be done at the wrong possible time. That was one of the wrong possible times. I was just very happy that the people was able to wake me, and I was able to snap into normal, and everything was good. So that's the only thing. Other than that, I'm enjoying my job. I'm very happy. And again, it was necessary for me to make the switch because I'm going to be in the process of moving, which is why I'm taking the time to enjoy this park as much as possible. Because here's the thing, guys. I'm at Prospect Park. This is the first time I've been in Prospect Park since 1996. It's 2016, and I'm actually walking the terrain of Prospect Park for the very first time since 1996. 20 years later. And I gotta say, nostalgia hits big time for me. I'm really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying, just walking to terrains, walking the big, for big trees, and sinking in everything that is Prospect Park. I really am. It really brings back some good memories, some crazy memories too. There was a lot of. Prospect Park was not always the safest place to go in the 80s, but then again, the city was pretty much in turmoil with that for a good minute. It's amazing how this place has changed. It really is. I remember a lot of things about this park. My mom took me here. The banjo, the theater where they have classical music and jazz still exists. Although I think Bloomberg had messed up the feeling when he allowed vendors to actually, sell their goods there. I never really went with that. And I think a lot of people who lived near the park and nearby, didn't go with that either. But it definitely brings back some sweet memories. It definitely brings back some great memories. My old friends and I, when we was in our wild and crazy days, have actually skipped school to go to this area near Grand Army Plaza. I'm going to show you something, guys, here. If you guys can see it. I don't know if you can. This is the park, guys. This is the inside of the terrain. This is just the terrain. There's dozens of playgrounds within, I believe, 300 to 500 acre area of this beautiful, beautiful terrain. And I gotta tell you, you haven't seen nothing until you actually visit this park. This is not too far from where I used to live at. Boston Park was about a mile and a half away from my house. And it's not, I'm saying that as an estimate because, if the further you go down the park, the more miles it is. But if you go down Flatbush, you just walk right, you keep going down that road, you pretty much hit my house right after that. So this is a very, 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 very beautiful and surrounded by rich apartments, rich terrains, and beautiful green. And it's amazing that it took me this long to finally enter this park. It's kind of amazing. when you think about it that it took me this long. And a lot of things have changed. This park used to be had a set rule where cars was allowed to ride around there. It's a short called overpass. That is no longer allowed. It's now a bike lane and pedestrian lanes now. No cars have not been in this area for almost about good 7-8 years. They have changed that completely. So they made it more park friendly, where it's mostly bikes and stuff. They have rebuilt a lot of the old structures, which took them almost 3 decades. They was doing renovation since 1986, and they just started to finish up some of the last renovations this now. So they really had work hard to restructure and rebuild this park here, and I can tell you, it looks great. I mean, people from all walks of life is here. People of all walks of life is picnic thing, just enjoying, playing a little game of catchball, bringing their dogs out, or just relaxing, just sunbathing and or just reading a good book. And with me, I haven't felt this relaxed in a while. I haven't really felt this relaxed, period, going to a place like this. And that's the whole thing. You just want to go in, keep your worries behind, leave your troubles at work behind the office, and just enjoy life for a change. Because again, I mean, I worked, I worked a lot, but there's a situation where you're working and you're working yourself to death. That's one of the reasons why, even with my age, I'm not old, I'm 39, but I do not feel the need to work 2 jobs anymore. Even though I should, one, my body just can't, and two, I can't do that, working 2 jobs, because where's my life in between? I'm working days, working nights. There's nothing in between. I'm not getting any sleep, which I can't afford to keep doing. I'm not enjoying life. So to me, is when I decided to go back to the working field after being out of it for a while, I decided I gotta find a job that at least will sustain me. I'm still looking for that job, because the job, the pay is not great, but at least on the 6th day is considered overtime pay, because the 5 days you work all 8 hours, which is 40 hours. And like I said, you want to work that 40 hours instead of working 2 part-time jobs and still not making enough to make ends meet. But besides that point, because I don't want to get off track here, is I never really had, until I actually walked in this park, never really sat back and enjoy the nature side of things. I actually forgotten how comfortable and relaxed this is. And that's the whole thing. When I sat down here and said, what, I got to go in this park, I really went there and just relaxed and enjoy things and just leave things. Read a book here. It's very, very good. And I said, yeah, I'm going to start doing more video about this more often, whether it's here in this park or probably in Central Park, which, ironically, only been in Central Park only 7 times in my lifetime. I live in New York all my life. I've only been in Central Park 7 times. I've been in Park more than anything else. I can tell you about the cemetery that's too far from House Park, which is actually a historical site, because this wasn't always the park. This was a battlefield that Washington's troops had fought during the Revolutionary Wars. So this is the historical thing. It has a very dark history, but also has a very rich history. So there you go. I'm just crossing over here. These guys playing volleyball, so I don't want to mess up the game. And I'm checking my battery power. But like I said, I'm going to go on this bench over here, and then we're going to continue talking. Let me see if I can get a bench that's more quiet. So, like I said, you're hearing a lot of dog barking. But that will lead me to the final topic of the J&J Monday show, which is something I wanted to bring out, some advice for tourists, and why I feel the need to talk about it. Because one of my jobs, return to the workforce, was actually being a tour ticket agent. for Gray Line. And I can say Gray Line's name because it's been a while since I worked with them. It's been a good 2 years. So saying their name ain't going to get me in trouble uh, at all. And by the way, excuse the lighting. I am, after all, going to a more shaded area of the area, so you might not be able to see me as properly as one can. So I'm gonna sit right down here and talk. Take off my bag. But the reason why I felt this way, because again, we're now approaching that month, which has already pretty much started, but we haven't gotten to that peak, which is July and August, and that is the tour season. The tourist season is a very big thing. A lot of things have changed. A lot of things I want to give you guys aware of, but most importantly, give you some tips on how you guys can not only stay safe if you guys are planning to tour New York, but to also be financially cautious of what you're buying. And mostly this applies to vendors, vendors who sell food on a thing. So these are some tips that I want to give you guys going, because over the years, especially working at a ticket agent, I realized that a lot of tourists who come from different countries, especially those who are coming in the city for the first time, isn't really up to par on how to A, disguise themselves of not making it obvious they're tourists, or B, basically not being aware of where they're going around the city. You always want to be, very self-conscious of the areas you're in, as well as just basically knowing where you're going, so that way you don't have to get gypped by a cab driver, or basically get the wrong idea from people who are, in the grace of their heart, trying to help. Also, some tips about certain things that's actually been changing in New York, as well as the do's and don'ts as a tourist you should not do while in the city. And this is not something that's bad, but it's something that to protect you guys from making it obvious to others who may want to take advantage of your lack of knowledge of the city, as well as lack of knowledge of pricing that goes on in the city. So let's start with the first thing you need to be aware of, and that is the mascots. Everybody heard about them. Everybody has seen them in the news. And if you guys haven't even seen it on the news here, there's been some changes that's going on. They have made a first attempt to regulate the mascots. One of the major things that they have done is put zoning areas where they can be. It's been a huge problem that the mascots has been going through. They're finding among themselves pretty much holding tourists for hostage for money. It's been really, really crazy, to the point where the administration of New York have come up with an idea to zone them, so that way they can keep an eye on them, as well as making sure they don't harass the tourists as well as other people in New York. It's already taken effect. And some people are for it, but other people are not for it, and people don't think the program's going to work. I'm still up on the fence for it. I'm just going to let you know right now, I don't know how it's going to work in the long run. I don't want to sit there and say it's a great idea, when in reality, it may be the worst thing that could ever happen, because again, you are regulating something that really didn't have any grounds for regulation in the first place. Even Bloomberg said there's really no set laws to regulate these people. So this is actually the first attempt, and for the most part, like the Naked Cowboy, he's for the idea, because he admitted himself, and I respect him for that he is making a living out of what he's doing. I don't agree with him with it, but he's been doing it for years. He has made himself a household name. He has patented this thing for a while, and he's done so well they got endorsements. So at least he has the guts to make a living. Other people, they just they get a costume, they go out there, they ask for pictures, and then they ask for a tip. This is something you need to know about this, and I think this is something very important. It is not mandatory, and the police will even tell you this, and you can ask the New York City Police Department, they will tell you this. It is not a mandatory thing to tip these mascots. Yes, I think it's at least a good thing to do, to give them something, especially if they take a picture, but only if they let you know ahead of time. Most of the time, this has been happening a lot, and this is why there's been an issue here is you take a picture and then they press on you for tips. They're not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to press on you for any kind of money whatsoever. And it's gotten to the point where they became very hostile. Just recently, Spider-Man, I don't know who the real guy name is, I call it Spider-Man number 15 because God knows it was more than one Spider-Man, has got arrested and is charged for harassment and assault because he was pressing up on people for tips to the point where it became more hostile. And ended up not only fighting with the tourists, but ended up fighting with the police department. 2 years ago, you had Elmo pushing a kid on the floor because his mother didn't tip fast enough. This incident's been going on, so please be aware of this. Be aware that this does happen. You have these mascots fighting among themselves, which is going to happen when you're competing for cash. To them, they make their living like this. And look, I'm not knocking their hustle, but they need to be aware. They need to at least make it aware, in my opinion, that if you want the picture, you need to at least tip before we take the picture. A lot of these guys don't do this. They just take the picture and then they just say, tip, please. And that's something that I find, you alert the people. If they choose to do that, then that's great. But if you do that, but if you just take the picture and then you expect tips in there, you shouldn't be surprised if a tourist said no. Which a lot of tourists have been doing a lot lately because they are a little bit more aware of it. They're a little more aware that they don't have to do it. But again, there are other people who aren't aware of it, and when they are, walking away, they shouldn't feel harassed because one, the guy pressed up on them, and two, they didn't make it be known off the bat that you're supposed to tip them because they don't really tell the price. They really don't. They just make up some price and then just expect to be paid for it. It's not a job. They're not hired. They're doing this on their own recordness to press up as cartoon characters. But at the same time, at least make it be known. Which brings me to my second thing that I want tourists to be aware of. This goes with the vendors. I said this a lot when I was doing ticket agent. I'm going to say it again during this January Monday. If you're going to buy from the vendors, that's cool. It's fine, and I have no problem with that. But look for the vendors, like the hot dog vendors, those who sell the bigger, the platters. Look for the trucks that has the price's name on it. This has been an issue, and even Bloomberg have even said this, that it is mandatory for these vendors to have a price displayed on their trucks. The reason for this is because, and this still goes on, unfortunately. This is why I'm bringing it up. They have two prices. They have New York City prices, which is like me and everybody else who lives in the city. Then they have tourist prices, which is 10 times more than what we're paying. A couple of times they tried that with me. I wasn't going for it because I know how much a can of soda costs. It ain't $2.95. And the moment they went down that price, that's when I knew that person was lying, and they pretty much thought I was a tourist. But unfortunately, this is something that happened, and some of them don't make no bones about it. That's exactly what they're doing. They had even a news special. Bloomberg said they can charge anything they want, but they have to show the prices of their items. So here's the thing: if they don't charge the price of their items, most likely you want to stay away from them. If you can't, before you buy it, ask how much it costs. Let that person say up the bat how much that item that they're selling costs. Let them mishear price. Don't just buy and be shocked how much it is because you already purchased it. And technically speaking, it is still the responsibility of the customer to ask how much each item of any vendor or just store period, how much it costs. And it's also the responsibility of that vendor to tell you how much it is when asked. You don't just buy from these vendors. You want to ask first and then buy, because chances are that may be one price, but the guy right across from him may be more cheaper. So you always want to ask. You always want to know that, and you always want to look and see the most honest vendors are the ones that always have their price up to display. That's the ones you always want to mostly look at because they're not trying to pull any punches. What you see is what you get. You either choose to buy it or you choose not to. Others, not so much. So be mindful of that, and also, before purchasing, buy. Also, just a little tip here. I said this to a lot of the tourists all the time. Get used to seeing Dwayne Weeds a lot, or any other pharmacy stores, because these are actual stores. And I'm saying this with water. All right, a lot of these vendors will try and charge $3 to $5 for water. My advice is, you want to avoid spending all that money, go to CVS. They got different bottled waters for very different prices. Some go as cheap as 150, some go as high as $3. But I guarantee it's very reasonable, and you can actually go there, because the same dream bottled water that the guy's charging $3.95 or $4.95, CVS, Drain Weeds, a lot of these pharmacies may have that same exact ounce of water for a whole lot cheaper. So, be mindful of that. It's a little tip from there. Also, it's also very important, and this is something that I think everybody shouldn't have. Be aware of where you're going. Be aware of the street where you're going. Be aware if you can avoid it. You want to make sure you always know where you're going. Just prefer the cabs. They always can sense tourists, and they always will try and jack up the price. You want to prevent them from jacking up the price? Sound like you're from New York. Immediately, when you grab that cab, I want to go here, here, and here. 34th and 5th, 56th and Lexington. Always be mindful of where it is. Don't mention the site where you're going. Don't mention you want to go to this museum, because they're going to hint they're tourists. Just mention the name. I want to go between the stops. Like, say the Museum of Natural History is between 58th and 59th, and it's at 7th Avenue, or 8th Avenue, or 9th Avenue. You mention 57th and 9th Avenue. You don't never mention the actual museum. You just remember this. You just go by the streets. And you do it in a very swift way, a very fast way, to let the have the feeling that, oh, this guy, I can't charge him tourist prices. And also very important. All right. Don't dress like a tourist. I know a lot of people are saying, what the hell that mean? It means don't have your pamphlet constantly out. Don't have any brochures that's constantly out. Don't have your camera out. This is how everybody can easily spot tourists, because they make it so obvious. You want to make sure you want to keep yourself safe from people who want to take advantage of you. Especially those who want to make a quick buck. Here's how you do it. You keep your camera out of sight until the time comes when you want to take a picture. After then, put it back in your purse or put it in your book bag. Keep moving. Don't have any tags unless you're with a strong group. Like, those mega tour buses that takes a lot of people from Japan. Then you can't avoid that. But always have, if you don't want to have anything that distinguishes that you're coming from another state, especially those who go to the cons that is having in Jacob Javits Center, you always want to keep some of those tags hidden. You don't want to show any sign that you're from a different state. 'Cause a lot of people, even New Yorkers, get confused at tours because they see that tag, and then they're wondering why the cabs are trying to take advantage of people. You always want to keep those out of sight. You always want to keep them out of mind. That's why when you're in a hotel, when you got those pamphlets and brochures, try your best to memorize some of the stuff you're going. Try your best not to make it too dubious that you're not from New York. You always want to keep that. That's not just from New York. That's from any state that you're touring, because that's why people easily can recognize you're not from here just by those items alone. So be mindful of that. I'm not saying you can't take it out on the open, but don't just have it linger. You always want to hide it. You always want to be aware of where you're always going all the time, if you can avoid it. The cameras you can definitely avoid. The cameras, you don't need to have it praying around your neck all the time, especially not taking any pictures. Keep it in your bag. That way, it makes it less obvious that you're not from New York. Another thing, this is very important, and it's also a safety thing, because I'm aware that they're still doing this. A lot of people are doing this, and I don't understand why, but it's something you don't want to do. If you're carrying anything that is related, like suitcase or anything, please do not have your name and your personal information on it. Please remove that. Keep that kind of stuff you don't need. I know they saying in case of get lost, stolen stuff, but sometimes it can get to the wrong hands, and you don't need that kind of drama. Keep it out. Keep your personal information hidden. You don't need it in your personal bags. Always carry that alongside. Always carry that with you and your own person. Don't keep it exposed where somebody can look at your back. Because all they need to do is glance. And some people, that's all they need. Oh, I got this person's name and phone number address. Next year, you know, you're finding out somebody's charging a lot of money to your credit card or something. They don't need your credit card to get your information. All they need to do is get your name in some cases. Your name and your phone number. That's pretty much all they really need these days to create a false account or just basically to gain access to some of your personal information. So you want to keep your personal information, especially for safety reasons. Which brings me to my biggest thing here, and this is something very important. Do not just accept help from every Tom, Dick, and Harry that is out there. Sadly, sex trafficking still exists in this country. It's still a big issue when, especially with college students who are visiting from other countries. Be very, very mindful of that, especially if a person approach you just out of a blue. You don't know that person. Hi, bye, keep it moving. Don't exercise what they have to say unless they're a police officer or you just or they're a cab driver. You don't mess with them, especially the way you can easily tell if they're a cab driver. And even then, you want to look at their personal identification, your personal ID, and even then, you want to question why they're also so aggressive, especially when they're not picking up a fare. So be very, very, very mindful. Don't just open up to everybody out there because a lot of them, you know, they do target they do target these tourists, especially if they feel that that tourist is easy gullible and can give them information that they may not be aware they're given until it's too late. So you know, person come up to you, they sound friendly, they might not be friendly, especially if they're too friendly. You want to say, yeah, how you doing? Thank you. We've got to run. Goodbye. That's it. You know, be mindful of the stuff. Be mindful who you're asking information from. I was a ticket agent. It was part of my job to get information to people. But I always recommend, besides the guys who sell the tickets for the buses, you always want to get information from the people who are, you know, not only people who know, like, you know, the tellers, the theater, the theater ushers, but also the police. The police we're more than happy to tell you the location of certain things. We're more than happy to tell you places that you're looking for. Especially in the case of emergency, they're always happy to assist you. Go to them first. I always say that because, again, their job is to protect the citizens, including those who are visiting here in the city. You know, these are the tips I can possibly give you. I know there's a whole lot of more. But these are the ones that I feel that is very, very important, especially the last one I said, because, again, kidnapping, it is an ongoing thing, especially in other countries, foreign countries where people are visiting there. New York is no exception, of course. And I want to see people come here, have a fun time, but also have to be very safe and be cautious. You don't, you know, again, you know, I'm not saying New York is all the grouchiest people in the world, but there's a time to be friendly and there's a time to be, you know, friendly but alert. And if a person is too aggressive in a friendly manner, there's a reason. It's not probably for the good. It's not a good reason. So you need to be mindful of that. You need to be aware of that. There's too many times where even young women get caught up on some nonsense because some guy set them up to take a fall, or you know they get kidnapped because they open up to this guy, and all this guy was trying to do is set them up to be harmed later. So you want to be very, very mindful of that. Be mindful of your surroundings. Be mindful where you are. Always have a check point. When I mean that, if you have a group of people or family, always check in with each other. Always know where one is going to be at all times. Always be aware of the locations there. So that's basically what I wanted to do. I want to give you guys a little heads up on that. But most important, just have a safe and fun time going to New York. Have a safe and fun time going anywhere, period. But you know, be cautious, be careful, and you know, be aware. You know, you don't let the scammers outsmart you. You outsmart them. Oh, and one more thing. I almost forgot this, so I'm amazed because this was going to be one of my earlier talking points. I don't normally. People, more tourists are aware of knockoffs. They're aware that some of the stuff they're getting ain't real. I spoke to a lot of tourists who knows that the purses and the wallets, especially with the cruise. I think Coast is one of the biggest things next to the Rockefeller Center. They're aware that there's some of them are bootleg compared to the $400 originals. They're aware of that, and that's fine. They know what they are. But be also aware of the perfumes. Don't buy anything that's bootleg that you got to put on your skin. Anything that's care products, you want to avoid that. I know that sounds a big novelty, but you don't know what you're getting. And after that raid we had about a few days ago in New York, where they found a lot of bootleg perfumes that was laced with horse urine and God knows what other chemicals that can cause cancerous irritations. You want to stay away from that type of thing. There are some things, yeah, okay, fine, they bootleg, but there's other times there's a difference between a purse versus something that can affect your health. So try to stay away from those perfumes. Try to stay away from those items, especially with anything that you have to deal with. But products that involve your own health, believe me, is not worth the risk, no matter what the price is. So that's pretty much it. Now, as a New Yorker, I can tell you right now, the only thing that bothers me, and I want your tourists to be open-minded about this. New York, the Manhattan Island is not just New York. New York is the five boroughs, and every place has something to offer. If you go to Brooklyn, there's a whole lot of place here. The Botanical Garden is here. We have the Great Library, not too far from where I'm at. That library is a historical landmark by itself that has a lot of history. You read a lot of stuff that you can actually check out. That's there. You have the Brooklyn Academy of Music. That's there. You know about the Bronx and Yankee Stadium, and you also have some historical buildings, landmarks there as well. We have Queens. We got the Flushing Meadow Park. We got one of the oldest residents there as there. We got the stadium formerly known. I can't stand MetLife Stadium, but I'll call it MetLife Stadium. But I call it Shea. I always will call it Shea, or the stadium formerly known as Shea. There's a lot of stuff here. It's not just Manhattan. People assume that New York is just Manhattan. No, New York is the five boroughs: Manhattan, Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, and even Staten Island. Staten Island has a lot of stuff you can do in there. I mean, it's more than just a boat ride. Get off the boat, walk around, see Staten Island Yankee game. There's a museum there. There's an old garden there. There's a zoo, actually, one of the smallest zoos in all of five boroughs. There's a whole lot of stuff to be done. We have the Bronx Zoo as well. There's a whole lot of stuff. We got the two parks. We got a whole lot of parks here. So, check them out. Just take full advantage of New York. Don't stay isolated just in Manhattan. There's a whole lot of stuff in New York can be done. So, just enjoy it. I mean, come on. Enjoy the full feel of New York. This is a city that never sleeps. But, there's a whole lot that just... and there's a whole lot of just than just one borough. Even though Manhattan is the Tribeca of boroughs, it is the bright lights, Times Square, but it's not the only place there. There's a whole lot of stuff, and keep in mind, New York is growing. New York tourist area has grown more and more. Why not? Why not visit these areas? You'd be surprised what you may learn. People don't even know Brooklyn was its own city. City Hall still exists there. There's a whole lot of history between that. So don't just stay isolated to just Manhattan. Stretch out. See the other great sites. See the other places that our beautiful city have to offer. And just enjoy it. Enjoy the scenery. Enjoy the community. That's basically what I can say about that. So, an unusual video for this type of evening. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is something I'm actually going to try to do more and more. Don't know I'm going to do it in a review setting yet, but I really did enjoyed this J&J Mondays. It's short, not as short as my pre-premiere, but it is good enough, and I'm not going to go any further than that, being the fact that it's also going to be nighttime in about another 15 minutes, so everybody's pretty much falling out now. But yeah, this is actually good. It's a relaxing J&J Monday. Something I originally wasn't going to do, but I said, you know what, I want to keep to the schedule. I don't want any gaps, and so I hope you really guys enjoyed this one. We should be back next week. Being unless Jockerlee is still not feeling better or something came up. I know I'm gonna be very busy on a Saturday, but Sunday we should be back on again, and hopefully you get that video. We were supposed to talk about music in Hollywood, how it affected movies then and now. But again, obviously, I didn't want to do it without Johnson, so we'll hold that off because I know she has a lot to say. She's a big John Williams fan. I'm a big John Williams fan as well. But it's not just John Williams. Music in general have changed, so we'll talk about that as well as the week goes on. And hopefully, I'm trying to get this guest over. I've been trying for the last few weeks, but scheduling is very conflicting. So I'm not gonna tell you who it is. I'm gonna try to be surprised. Also, we're closing in on our mid-season finale, so that's also something very big I want to get. I'm actually hoping to get somebody back on the thing once, because he's actually celebrating being a former bachelor now. So I'm hoping to talk to him, rap with him, but I'm not making any promises yet. I don't know when he's gonna be active again. And then the fact I'm actually going to be doing some writing as well. So a lot of stuff I got to be doing. So, guys, it's going to be kind of fun, interesting. And I got some time to do it now, which is important. I just got to get my sleeping back on pattern because that's been out of whack. So, and that, it's been a good day, especially me being in the park. So let's not waste any more time here, guys. As always, you will find this video at manexpression.com, also at mirrorstonepublishing.com, by youtube.com. So you guys, hope you guys enjoy this video. As always, if you have any feedback, anything at all, let me know in the comment section below. Also, for those who are tourists in the city, if you are planning to come to New York and you just stumble upon the video, ask me any questions you want about the place. I'll even give you some tips about what tour bus I think is best for you, that will fit your budget, not the tour bus's budget, and what you should do, and tricks and pros and cons on how to get the best price for your buck. So if you guys are ever planning to go to New York, hit me up. I'll talk to you guys. I'll give you guys a response. And hopefully that will help you guys out in your venture to the Big Apple. So until next time, guys, until next week, this is J77 saying take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.